So today I thought I'd take a look at the PC demo of Intrepid Izzy and just go over the game itself. Now, Intrepid Izzy is a platforming game done by Team Senile, and Team Senile also worked on, let me see if I can remember this correctly, Rush Rally Racing and Rush Rally Racing Reloaded on Dreamcast and Wii. And we previously did a video of Rush Rally Racing Reloaded, which was the enhanced edition that was also released on Wii on Dreamcast a few months back. If you haven't looked at it, it's actually a really nice homebrewed game on the Dreamcast. And this is Intrepid Izzy, their new game, which was also done on Kickstarter. Now, without further ado, let's actually get started into the demo. There's a nice selection of options, sounds, controls, credits, but I'll just jump straight into the demo. And there's a slight Sonic theme with that level introduction, and we just have the welcome frog. Good day, madam, and welcome to the demo. Thanks, Mr. Frog. Please be aware that this demo is merely a preview of a work in development. Sure, I get that. Bye now. Probably more sort of a ribbit. Good day, madam, and good luck. Oh god, my accent. Trying to do stupid game accents is pointless. So this is a platform game with fight-style combat mechanics, which is quite nice. And I should point out, I am actually a platform veteran from days gone by, from all the way from the 80s and 90s. And I must admit, the controls instantly are very tight, which is always a good sign. And I've worked on platform games where the controls weren't tight, and I've told the cat programmer countless times they weren't that good. And he was like, "Oh, it's meant to be slippy and slidey," and I was just, ugh. This, however, is really tight. They play surprisingly solidly well. This is a sort of Metroidvania clone. I've already run through the demo once, and you have got a couple of moves. You've got a slide kick there, you've got standard punch, you've got a drag punch, and if you do a quarter circle towards, you can do, if I can get this out, fireball and fireball. And yeah, my problem is I'm quite quick at doing the quarter circle towards, and I think I'm slightly faster than the game likes it. Played an awful lot of Street Fighter over the years. So you can see they're quite fluid combat. Again, very slightly Metroidvania, and you will get more power-ups. In fact, there's a few bits like up here you can explore once you have more power-ups. But that's just the opening section, so I'm just going to beat these enemies and just literally run through as fast as I can. You can look up, you can look down, as you can see there. Jump, jump. Yeah, I must admit the jumping controls are very tight. I was quite surprised, even for a demo build. This is very tight, the controls, which is always nice to see because you do need precision controls when you do jumping in games. There's also a rumble, I should add, and I must admit I'm not a big fan of rumble, but I know some people do like it. So as you can also see, if I look up there, there was something up there that we will come back and get later. Because like a Metroidvania, get any good Metroid... I'm not a big fan on the Metroidvania term, really it's just the Metroid games. And you'll see they're very careful jumping, you don't want to jump on the spikes. Food restores your health. And this is a rotating puzzle bit. I'll jump that. Through here, grab a key. Keys, as you can imagine, unlock doors, so I'm just going to drop down here without having to redo the jump section. But yeah, very tight controls, which is what I was very impressed with. That was the first thing I noticed, because the one thing you always want to do is, certainly in any fighting game and any sort of platforming game, is how tight the controls are with the jumping. If they're a bit off, they can really ruin your experience. I mean, take Little Big Planet for example, that had slightly jumpy controls or slightly floaty controls, and this certainly feels tighter than Little Big Planet by a long shot. It actually controls very nicely. So I'm just going to chat to this gentleman here. Hi Izzy. Sorry, but this way is closed in this demo. Oh, okay. Where should I go then? There's a portal just a short distance left from here. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'll try not to do silly voiceovers in future. Magic mirror, take me away. Chocolate mines or never mind. It's like rhyme there, I feel. Okay, so this is chocolate mines. You press it up and you can read signs. So Aztec Greece. So as you can see, you've got a bar for your super attacks. So as you can see there, every time I do a fireball, it decreases my health. And that's me dead. And I get a -1 life, I noticed. Assuming the real thing you'll actually get proper lives, or whether they're going to implement lives, I'm not entirely sure. To be honest, arguably in a game like this you don't really need to implement lives. The only thing I suppose you could implement is a tracker to see how few lives you use to go through the game. Aha, a perfectly safe looking contraption that will bring me safely down to safety. Well, we know what's going to happen here. And rule of thumb, always hold the direction whichever way you fall, because there's usually a secret wall somewhere. That's an old platforming trick. Cool vampire fashion, and this is her vampire costume. I don't believe at this point I can change back. There doesn't appear to be a menu to select costumes. I assume there's going to be some sort of costume selection in the future. So if I press Y, I can do a alternate. Basically, getting this suit changes the fireball option. So I can no longer use a fireball. Instead, I use a Chun-Li style fireball. And just off the hand fireball she does in the later Street Fighters. In Street Fighter 2 she was given, or Street Fighter 2 Turbo, she got given a sort of standard Ryu type fireball, and then the later Street Fighter games they gave her a sort of hand fireball like in Third Strike. So you see there, nice little secret wall, and up and away we go. So I've got the bat, you'll notice I've got a charged health bar, or super energy bar, and what that means is I can turn into a bat and fly, which is a great way to access some of the secrets. So basically getting those crystals charges up your super sort of bar, or I suppose special bar is what I'd describe it as, and basically want to keep that as charged as possible. When you use your abilities you actually lose. So I'm just going to turn to a bat there, demo it. I didn't even need to turn to a bat for that one. Hit jumping error there, didn't mean to do that. So we've got a new portal. And I can turn to a bat and come up here. And you've got the classic Sonic style springs. I've not got enough bat magic power, so I'm going to have to come back later. So I can go ahead, or I can actually go back to the previous area. Aztec Greece, let's go back to Aztec Greece and use the bat power. So you can see this is basically a Metroid style game with the fact you can then reuse power-ups to traverse locations you didn't originally, and that's always a nice touch. I'm always a big fan. I mean, I like both styles of platforms, sort of the classic Mario Brothers style and the sort of Metroid style. I've always been a fan of platforms per se. I suppose you've got the Super Mario 64 style and Banjo-Kazooie where you have separate and encaged worlds. First, the one downside of coming back to a level is certain doors that you've unlocked previously are now relocked. Just fly up there just to be... So you can see there's something up the top there, but I can't actually reach it at this point, I've noticed. So there's either an enhanced power up or it's still or there's still some work to be done. It's an area not currently accessible. So you've got some great, really good combat there. You can fight multiple enemies at once. It's very fast paced as well, the combat, which is nice to see. Izzy's also looking particularly dapper, I should say. She's certainly very nice looking. And I am liking the art style very much in this, actually. It's very sort of anime, manga-esque. And the animation flows really nicely as well, which is always good to see, because there are some games I've seen, like perhaps I should say Rayman Legends, which despite the fact looked wonderful, had some awful animation, and it was very rigid and stiff. And that door's not opening for me. And that's because I got back and pressed the switch. But that was a game that looked Rayman Legends and Rayman Origins, the sort of later Raymans they did on 360. They looked fantastic, but the animation was very limited. And that was the one thing I didn't like about those games. Although they looked and played great, their animation was quite limited for what they were. And that was the one area I felt Rayman Legends was let down. They should have had more animation, especially when you compared Rayman's animation in that to the original game on Saturn, Jaguar and PlayStation. That had the original Rayman had very slick animation, whereas Izzy's got some very nice animation as well. I think blends together well. She's moving and flowing very nicely as well. Got to grab some health there. So let's see if I can go back up here. Yep, and there's a key. So you can see there's an area we couldn't previously access, but now we've got the suit we can do. Let's go there. Push that here. You can tell I'm a dab hand at all this, as I've been doing platformers longer than I can remember almost. Gone are the days in Spectrum era where you had games that on the platformers were very much hit and miss jumping, or absolutely pixel perfect jumping, such as Manic Miner and Jet Set Willy. Although Jet Set Willy, the original release, actually had a number of jumps you couldn't actually compete, so they had to release a patch for it via some of the magazines. So I don't need to go back through that area to get the key because I've already got it. Let's grab some of the power-ups. I'll just show... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's see if I can quickly get... So you can see that there's actually a hidden area this side that we couldn't access originally. However, obviously this area is not accessible in the demo because I can't go through that door. I assume it's supposed to open, or perhaps that's an exit way, but whatever way, I can't access that area just yet. There's the wizard again. Yeah, we've already spoken to you. We know that area is not accessible in the demo. So for a demo, it actually gives you quite a nice... It gives you a big enough area to really get a feel of the game, but not giving you too much as to give away all the secrets of the game. So I'm just going to fly over here. You can't actually make that jump normally. And if you try and make it, you usually end up smashing into the spikes. So the scorpions. Actually quite a nasty enemy, and they've got me again. Visually, it's very nice for sort of 2D animation, as I said earlier. It's a very nice look, very retro feel, but it feels... I mean, if I was to place this visually, it's sort of Saturn, PlayStation era style visuals. Although it still feels very modern somehow. It doesn't quite feel retro, which is always nice. Some games get that retro look. And I could be cheeky and fly up there, and if I do this, fly up here, you'll see me being a bit of a bug tester previously, or in a previous life I should say, I noticed that if you fly up there when you've got the platform, when having dropped the lift the first time, it will actually won't drop the lift again, so you have to exit the area and come back. So overall, I've actually been doing a bit of bug test, but giving it a bit of bug testing myself, and it's actually been very solid. I've not found too many issues, which is always really nice to see in a demo. So although they say it's still a work in progress, they've clearly spent time to make sure this demo is as bug-free as possible, which is always a really nice touch by the developer. I know some developers put out demos that were not in good shapes, and this is actually very solidly put together. Very fast-paced as well, that's another thing. Izzy certainly moves quickly, which is a really good sign for a sort of platform game, because some platform games can be a little bit plod along, whereas Izzy is very fast-moving and swift. Now, one thing I should have done previously is I should have moved this block to the right, as you can see there, and smashed it to get the spring out. About here, and that way I can jump up and then go there. So there are lots and lots of secrets in this, and I also need to come back and go up here as well, so I missed out last time. There's lots of nooks and crannies to... There's lots of, I was saying the term nooks, lots of nooks and crannies to explore. We've got a switch. I didn't realise that was there. So that retracts the platform, so I didn't need to turn to a platform to come up here. The music's actually very it's not really retro inspired, so it's quite techno, so it reminds me of, certainly very similar to Russia Rally Racing. I do actually really like this style of music because it reminds me a lot of the Amiga era, and the Amiga era did some absolutely fantastic soundtracks, and music, I have to admit, is one of the things that has suffered badly in modern games. In the earlier games you often saw music being pushed and pushed. It's already open, that's a good thing it says that. I was tempted to try earlier to see if I could keep using my keys and stuff, because as an old bug tester you'd often find bugs like that in games where you'd be able to reuse an item and thus create a non-prog situation where you used up all your keys on door where you shouldn't have been able to. But yeah, the music in recent years has really suffered in gaming, and it's one thing that I'd like to see improvements in. Music seems to become second fiddle, because often the game should be about atmosphere and music. I mean, not every game needs music, it's fair to say, but a large majority of them in recent years have treated the music very second rate, and it can, in the right instance, be used very effectively to alter the player's emotions and to give a good feeling for the game, or sort of very good at making tense and atmospheric. Might be what's just happening, my joypad is frozen, so let me, technical difficulties I should say. It might be it's actually disconnected because I've got slightly knackered 360 pad. Okay, controls, detect. Okay, it might have unplugged itself because this is an old joypad, so it's actually one of our naffier ones that's been slightly damaged over the years, so we don't use it on the 360s. It's a nasty habit of disconnecting myself. Hello again, Mr. Frog. What are you doing here? Hello, madam. I must admit that I don't belong in this mine, but there is something I must tell you. You should go like Ribbit. When you encounter a stash of subterranean octopus, remember to duck. Ribbit. Duck for octopuses. Got it. Thanks again. At your service, madam. Have a safe trip. But yes, the classic minecart section. I think there is a bit of a cliche having a minecart section in any platformer, but at least it means there's plenty of variety. And this section does remind me a bit of Sonic the Hedgehog, actually, of all the loops the loop. So yes, you've got to duck at the right pointing. You don't duck, though, you take damage when you run to those octopuses, and if I take damage right about now, I will die. So we have to stand up to collect the rocks, so... Thank you for playing, and that is it. Thank you for playing. We hope you've enjoyed this demo. For updates on the game's development, please visit Team Senile, and I highly recommend, or I should say Senile Team then, my reading is being absolute rubbish, so thank you for playing. We hope you've enjoyed this demo. For updates on the game development, please visit www.senileteam.com, and I highly recommend it if you like the look of this demo. It's actually a nice little platformer. I've certainly enjoyed what I've played. It's certainly well worth picking up when it comes out and keeping an eye on if you like this type of sort of classic platformer. I know there are a lot of platformers out there these days, but this is a really nice one so far. It's playing very well, and the team have already, Team Senile or Senile Team have already done a few good games, and it's well worth supporting them if you like sort of homebrew games, and especially if you like Dreamcast games, because they've previously done 2 games on the Dreamcast, and this is also coming to Dreamcast. So yes, it's certainly one to watch. So I hope you enjoyed my slightly rambling commentary at times. I've been Random Gamer Riven, and certainly keep an eye out on Senile Teams. I keep getting them, I keep wanting to call them Team Senile, but it's Senile Team. So yeah, if you like these guys' work, certainly if you want to play this on the Dreamcast, it is coming later in the year. It's a very solid, well put together game, certainly worth looking out for. I've been Random Gamer Riven, thank you for watching. And as always, subscribe, follow, like, and keep in touch with the randomised gaming team. Thank you and good night.